Today we will be learning about algebraic fractions. When the numerator and the denominator of an algebraic fraction have no common factor other than -1 and 1, the fraction is said to be in simplest form. To simplify a fraction, first factor the numerator and the denominator. I'll show you what that means in just a moment. Example number 1 says to simplify 3a plus 6 divided by 3a plus 3b. So first let's look at 3a plus 6. 3a plus 6, they both have a 3 in common, so I would pull out the 3. So I would factor the 3 and have a plus 2 left. So if I distribute, I get 3a plus 6. Now it's going to be divided by, let's look at the bottom, 3a plus 3b. They both have a 3 in common. So I'm going to pull out the 3 and factor the 3, and I get a plus b. Now, on the outside, I have 3 divided by 3. Those cancel each other out because it makes a 1. 3 divided by 3 is just 1. And I'm left with a plus 2 divided by a plus b. So now I need to find out when this is not true. So I'm going to look back here, and I get 3a plus 3b. This works as long as a does not equal negative b. So if I have a as 1 and b would be -1, a, if I plug them in, a is 1 plus -1, that would make a 0, and you can't divide by a 0. So you have, your final answer would be a plus 2 divided by a plus b when a does not equal -b. Remember that you cannot divide by 0. You must restrict the variables in a denominator by excluding any values that make the denominator equal to 0. So that's what I did in the last problem. You have to restrict the variables. Example number 2. Simplify x squared minus 9 divided by 2x plus 1 times 3 plus x. So first I want to look at my numerator, x squared minus 9. That looks kind of familiar. Oh, it's the difference of squares. Difference of squares states that if I have a square at the beginning and a square at the end with a difference in the middle, that I get x plus 3 times x minus 3. If you don't remember that, please go back and review that. And looking at the bottom, I have 2x plus 1 times 3x plus x. I don't see anything that I can factor, so I'm just going to rewrite it as 2x plus 1 times 3 plus x. All right, so now I'm going to look to see if there's anything that makes a 1, anything that I can cross out. Well, x plus 3 and 3 plus x are actually the same thing, so those can cancel out because x plus 3 divided by x plus 3 just makes a 1. So now I'm left with x minus 3 divided by 2x plus 1. And it doesn't look like there's anything else that I can factor out. Now I need to look at my exclusions. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to look back at my original equation where we first started. And I'm actually going to take those and I'm going to set them each equal to 0. So I have 2x plus 1 equals 0 and 3 plus x equals 0. Because anything times 0 is going to be 0 and we can't divide by a 0. So if this one equals 0, it doesn't work, or if this one equals 0, it doesn't work. So that's why I'm setting them both equal to 0. So I'm going to subtract 1 from both sides. I get 2x equals -1 divided by 2. So one of my exclusions is when x equals negative 1/2, and we don't want it to equal it. And the other one, we're going to subtract 3, x equals negative 3. So the other exclusion is when x does not equal negative 3. And that would be your final answer. You must write the exclusions for your answer to be final. To see which values of the variable to exclude, look at the denominator of the original fraction. So like I said in the previous example. The steps we want to follow when simplifying algebraic fractions are: first, factor the numerator and or the denominator. Then, number 2, cross out common factors. Number 3, if you don't see any common factors, look for opposites. I'm going to show you what that means in the next example. Example 3. Simplify 2x squared plus x minus 3 divided by 2 minus x squared. Okay, so first I'm going to factor the top. I'm actually going to use the box method to factor. So 2x squared, and I have negative 3. So 2 times negative 3 is negative 6. 1, 6, 2, 3. Okay, 2 and 3 work. I need a positive 1. So my 2 is going to be negative and my 3 is going to be positive. 3x and a negative 2x. So now I'm going to factor. I get 2x, 3x, and a negative 1. Now I'm going to verify 2x times x is 2x squared, 3 times x is 3x, 2x times negative 1, negative 2x, and 3 times negative 1 is negative 3, so that works. So I'm going to rewrite it on the top. 2x plus 3 times x minus 1. Now I'm going to rewrite the denominator to put my x squared first. So I have a negative x squared minus x plus 2. Now, I have a difficult time factoring with the negative at the beginning, so I'm just going to factor out a negative 1, just to make it easier for myself. You could do this later, you don't have to, it's up to you, but I like to make my first term positive. So I'm going to factor out a negative 1, which gives me x squared plus x minus 2. All right, from there, makes it really easy. I'm just going to rewrite 2x plus 3 times x minus 1 divided by, I have a negative 1 on the outside, and here, negative 2, that's going to give me an x plus 2 times x minus 1. Now, let's see, what can I cross out? I have an x minus 1 divided by an x minus 1. So I'm left with negative, and I'm just going to write it on the outside because it doesn't need to be at the bottom or the top, or it can be. But I'm going to write it on the outside. 2x plus 3 divided by x plus 2. Now I need to look back before I crossed anything out when my x's, what my x's cannot be. So I have x plus 2 equals 0, x minus 1 equals 0, subtract 2. So x cannot equal negative 2, and x cannot equal positive 1. And that is my final answer. Now we're going to get into our practice problems. I strongly encourage you to do all of the practice problems. Try them on your own. Pause the video, Try them on your own and then check your work. This is going to help you be more successful in the classwork. And make sure to write down any questions that you may have to ask in class the next time that we meet. So practice problem number 1. Simplify 2x plus 2y divided by 4. Okay, so first look at the numerator. I can factor out a 2, and I'm left with x plus y, and divided by 4. Now 2 divided by 4. 2 goes into 2, and 2 goes into 4 2 times. So my answer is x plus y divided by 2. And since our original fraction does not have any variables in it, we don't have to worry about stating when x or y is not a number. So x plus y divided by 2 is my final answer. Practice problem number 2. Simplify 6y plus 30 divided by y squared minus 25. Okay, so 6y plus 30, I see a 6. Factor out a 6 and I get y plus 5 divided by y squared minus 25. That's a difference of squares. So I have y minus 5, y plus 5. Now I'm going to cross out anything. I have a y plus 5 and a y plus 5, and I'm left with 6 divided by y minus 5. Now I'm going to look back at this step, and I know that this is not true when y is 5 or negative 5. Practice problem number 3. Simplify x minus 5 times 2 plus 7x and 5 minus x times 7x plus 2. So first I see 2 plus 7x is the same as 7x plus 2. So those cancel out. Now I have x minus 5 divided by 5 minus x. Well, I can actually factor out a negative so that I have 2 that are the same. So I'm going to rewrite this. I'm going to factor out a negative. You can put a negative 1 if you'd like. I get negative 5 plus x. When I have that, that rearranges to x minus 5. And so that will cross out. So what I'm left with is negative 1. Now I need to go back and look when this is not true. So I have 5 minus x equals 0 and 7x plus 2 equals 0. So subtract 5 on both sides, I get a negative x equals negative 5 divided by negative 1. When x is not equal to 5, subtract 2 on both sides, and I get 7x equals negative 2 divided by 7. So when x does not equal negative 2/7. So now for the last practice problem. Practice problem number 4. Simplify 12x squared minus 5xy minus 2y squared divided by 4y squared minus 4xy minus 3x squared. So first I'm going to look, and I need to factor both the numerator and the denominator. So I'm going to factor using the box method. So I'm going to draw my box. I'm going to get 12x squared, negative 2y squared, and 12 times negative 2 is negative 24. Write my factors. 1, 24, 2, 12, 3, 8. No, 3 and 8 make 5. So my 8 is negative, my 3 is positive. And because I have an x and a y as my variables, my middle term is going to be xy. Very similar to what that is. It's an xy. So I have negative 8xy, and I have 3xy. Now I'm going to factor, get 3x here, negative 2y, 4x, and a y. I'm going to check my work. 3x times 4x is x squared. Negative 2y times 4x is negative 8xy. Okay, that looks good. I'm going to rewrite it. And I have 3x minus 2y times 4x plus y. Now I'm going to use the box method to factor the denominator. So I have 4y squared and negative 3x squared. 4 times negative 3 is negative 12. 1, 12, 2, 6. Okay, that one will make negative 4. So my 6 is negative, my 2 is positive. And again, I have two variables. So negative 6xy, 2xy. Now I'm going to factor negative 3x. I get 2y, 2y, and x here. Let me just check. 2y times 2y, 2y squared. Negative 3x times 2y is negative 6xy. All right, that looks good. So put it underneath. 2y minus 3x times 2y plus x. All right, so I have these two that I'm going to look at. The other two, there's nothing to factor with it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to factor out a negative 1 out of the bottom. So I'm going to rewrite it to negative 2y plus 3x. Remember, there's that negative on the outside because I factored that out. Now it looks like my numerator. So I'm going to cross them out. And I'm left with, I'm going to write the negative on the outside. Don't forget that negative. You have 4x plus y divided by 2y plus x. And this is not true when 2y minus 3x equals 0 and 2y plus x equals 0. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to solve for x. So minus 2y, negative 3x equals negative 2y divided by negative 3. So x cannot be 2y over 3. And subtract 2y, x cannot equal negative 2y, so negative 2y. And that's all for today. See you in class.